to another dimension, surpassing the vastness of time and space. The Grand Thoughtmaturgist is here.
Alright, Earthlings. How are you? I hope you're well. It's the Grand Thoughtmaturgist here, coming to you from beyond the portal. So how comes I'm here then, transcending the depths of time and space to come to your universe? Well, you have an idea what an RPG is, but what do you need to know to run a session before you pop the old GM cap on? You see, there's plenty of advice out there, but here's 5 tips and suggestions from me. Check these out. Tip 1, and probably the most important tip that I can give you, is that every games master, dungeon master, storyteller, narrator, you call it what you will, but they all have to start somewhere. Your first go doesn't have to be perfect. The important thing is to give it a go, and that's what counts. Dungeon mastering can be really daunting, can scare the shit out of you. You just got to dive in. Once you get the first session out of the way, you'll either be itching to do the next session, or it will have given you a few pointers of where you can improve, or things you could try differently. But that's the joy of it. You'll learn as you go. One thing that's worth mentioning is that in most RPGs, your character becomes stronger the more experience they get. That applies for games masters too. The more you run games, the better you'll get, in general, especially if you learn from those experiences, which is point 2. Learn from your sessions, and that never really stops. Every session you run will reveal areas you can improve, what needs work, what went down well, and what didn't so much. Regardless, you'll at least be creating some memories, and to learn from it will only help you improve every single session. Be proud of what you do though. It might go the shape of the pear, but if you learn from it, it'll only get better. And that brings me into a little caveat, which is a tip 2B, and that is mistakes happen. That's life. You might have to decide whether you need to retcon something, drop something entirely, start afresh, try something new. Maybe you got a rule wrong, maybe you forgot something entirely. That doesn't matter. It happens. As it's a 2B, it's all about learning from it and adapting. The important thing is, you don't beat yourself up about it. Make light of the situation. Don't worry. 3. Find your own pace. You'll find it, and that applies to you and your players. Each group will be different. One group might want to stir around in town, speak to everyone, go shopping, take their time. There's no rush. Whereas another might be itching for the next action, want the next encounter to come along, want to roll some dice. That's fine. You'll find your pace. And your pace may well change depending on which group you're running for. But you'll find it. There's no rush. Also, a little bit of patience goes a long way. You'll all find in your stride if it's a new group, and even if it's a mixture of new and old, you're still going to find a new stride in a new group with a new dungeon master. But that will all come together in time. Be patient. Listen to your players. Let them guide you, and then you'll all end up having a really good time. Let's hope. Tip 4. Be prepared. Like all little Bug Scouts, it's important to be prepared. Even if it's just a page of notes, organised so it's easy to read, with references for different pages in different books, so you can find what you need as quickly as possible. There's a bit of an art to being spontaneous, but I've always found it's easier to adapt if you're prepared. That doesn't mean you've got to write down all eventualities that might happen, because you won't have enough paper for that. But if you've got backups, plan Bs, plan Cs, that'll help. And if you don't use it in this session, there's always another session. Use it then. You got it ready. Lovely. Being prepared allows me to focus my improvisational skills on different things, like on characters the party might meet, on their adventure. I'm a bit of an over-preparer myself. Personally, I prepare too much, and I make sure I do. That means I've always got something to fall back on. When the players go running in the wrong direction, that's fine. I've got something I can go to straight away. And finally, I suppose number 5 might be taken a bit controversial by some people your neck of the woods, but number 5 is learn the rules. Now, I'm not expecting anyone to swat through some of the books, PDFs, whatever, because they're really long, and there's loads of interesting, quirky little rules that it'll take a bit of time to learn. But when you do learn all the rules, you'll find it a lot easier. As with any hobby or interest, you'll learn as you go, but it is important to have a grasp of the rules, in my humble opinion. Someone wanting to be a fighter pilot doesn't just sign up and jump in a ship. They'll have to swat up first and learn all about the vessel. It would be pretty fucking messy otherwise, and expensive, no matter what military you have. But that just backs up how important it is to know how it all works first, before you get in the flight seat, so to speak. Not trying to compare being a fighter pilot to being a games master. No comparison, really. We all know a games master is more important. It will only help your players too if you're confident in how it runs. At the very beginning, if you're starting with a new group, they might not have a Scooby what to do. They'll have more than enough to remember and think about, so if you've learned the rules, you'll be able to support them and figure out rule-ins for all their harebrained schemes. The rules are there for a reason. They're there to help you run different eventualities throughout your game. I suppose I'm a bit of a swot. I like to read through the rules and learn as much as I can beforehand. Therefore I know how things work and operate. There's no harm leaving notes in your prep. If you're preparing a session, you can give a brief summary of the rules you want to use at different times. How does someone swim in the game? What about climbing walls? What's the simple part of combat? How do you break it down to its simplest form? How do you fly a spaceship? How do you drive a car? Depending on the system you're running, there'll be rules for those, and they're there to help you. Considering that I am system agnostic, find the system that suits you and your group best. Some people like it really stripped back and easy, with the fewest rules. Lovely. Let's just roll a few dice and have some fun. And that's great. Other folks, they like every single aspect written down, so that they've got rules for everything. They're like an in-depth game. I kind of like them too. That's fine as well. Maybe they want to keep track of every single bullet they've shot, how much they're carrying, how many days' food and what kind of vitamins and nutrients are going to get out of it. How many systems to the tank does that spaceship have? Or that one? How many light years can it jump? What's the range on that bow? Fatigue, energy, tiredness, everything you can imagine. All glorious little questions. And some systems, undoubtedly, will probably answer them. The trick is finding the right one for you, and you will in time. Also, as a caveat, a lot of people recommend that you don't ever look at a book when you're running a session. That's all very well and good, but I've never had a problem, nor my players. We're having a quick breeze through the book if you need to clarify a rule set. Couple of minutes, tops, done. Everyone knows the rules, clarified. So there's my 5 quick and not so quick tips and suggestions for those brave fools thinking about having a go at being a GM. Feel free to ask questions or add suggestions in the comments below. We can all have a nice interdimensional chit-chat. I'd also really like to hear which RPG system was your first, and which you'd recommend to others wanting to start out as Games Masters. Obviously, your neck of the woods, there's Dungeons & Dragons 5e, which is extremely popular, and I can kind of see why. But personally, I was introduced to Advanced Dungeons and Dagon way back in the 90th rotation. Great times. Anyway, chuck a like and subscribe if you fancy it, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ra.